The peripheral route to persuasion versus the central route to persuasion. So I'm going to talk about two concepts in this video in terms of basically, if you think about your life when you've made decisions, perhaps where you're being influenced, maybe someone's trying to sell you something. We're bombarded every day. For those of you who are on social media or just driving down the highway, right? There's billboards, etc., commercials on TV, and of course, social media, right? So there's always individuals, businesses, brands, if you will, that are trying to influence us, to persuade us to make a decision to perhaps buy a product, subscribe to a service, or subscribe to ideas. You see this in a lot of different contexts that I'll speak to in this video. So I'm going to differentiate and distinguish between both routes to persuasion. So the peripheral route to persuasion is really where you try to influence people through emotional reasoning, so to speak, right? You want people to experience feelings that may cause them to either experience positive or negative feelings, perhaps, depends on the situation. So based on their feelings, how they feel about a message, and also how they feel about what's being presented, a message, and associating that with a product, for example, right? How they feel then influences them perhaps to go out and buy something, or perhaps to vote for a candidate. Think of politics. So in politics, you have a lot of mudslinging candidates saying things about the other people, trying to brand them, right? Label them as something. So this is to evoke an emotional response in people who are listening to these messages, right? So based on that, sure, it can influence a decision. So the peripheral route is more emotionally driven to get people to buy a product, to vote, etc. So it's not really based on information or facts. And I'm going to give you some examples. Think of beer commercials, right? Beer commercials. I remember, as far as I can remember, I'm 52, going on 53. So it was pretty commonplace in the 80s, 90s to see football players, NFL, right? Doing those Miller Lite commercials, tastes great, less filling. Perhaps what about a rapper, right? Doing a beer commercial for Corona beer, right? You get the idea. So this is the peripheral route. They're associating a product, alcohol, quite frankly, with famous people, football players, celebrities, actors, musicians, or entertainers in general, right? So people see this. The message is they're showing a lifestyle, if you will, or something that appears cool, or lifestyle type driven, right? So people see that, they associate that with the beer. If I drink beer, I'm cool. I get needs fulfilled, maybe being socially, I get needs fulfilled, such as fitting in, being cool, right? Social context situation. What about cigarettes, right? You don't see cigarettes advertised on television, but you do see them in magazines. You'll see cigarette advertisements. So what do cigarettes do? Of course, they're going to take the peripheral route to persuasion. They're not going to, try to sell tobacco cigarettes based on information and facts, just sticking to the facts. No, they're going to have a very beautiful woman, perhaps, having a romantic evening with a man, and maybe they're on the beach and they both look really attractive, by the way, very fit looking people, and they're smoking a cigarette, right? As if most smokers look that way. So this is, again, the message is they're creating a situation, a concept, and a feeling you may have about it. So then you associate cigarettes with the feeling, maybe feeling excitement or feeling romantic or feeling maybe nostalgic about something when you look at these advertisements for cigarettes. What about Joe Camel, right? I think the menthol cigarettes at Camel. Yeah, children maybe see that, right? Maybe teenagers, right? Oh, Joe Camel and the cigarettes. Joe Camel's cool. So this is the peripheral route to persuasion. I think you get the idea. It's not really based on anything common sense or facts, because if they're being honest, if someone's going to try to sell you something or promote an idea that's really not a good thing, if you just go by information, they know they can't sell you cigarettes and alcohol based on information. Yeah, drink alcohol because it promotes more intimacy in your relationship. Drink alcohol because it creates more peaceful interactions, or drink alcohol because it makes your liver healthier. Of course, that's not true, right? People who drink alcohol can become disinhibited, domestic violence, impulsive, crime, right? A lot of crimes are committed under the influence of alcohol. Cirrhosis of the liver, suppresses REM cycle sleep, right? So that's not good. You need REM cycle sleep at nighttime. Alcohol also suppresses protein synthesis. So good luck building muscle, right? So all the adverse effects of alcohol, scientifically based, evidence based. Beer commercials are not going to, try to market alcohol, or, brands are not going to try to market their product alcohol, right? Based on the good things, based on evidence and facts, because there are none. There are none. I don't care what people say, especially these days, they know more information. So they have to take this peripheral route. Is what I'm talking about. Same thing with cigarettes. They're not going to do a cigarette advertisement talking about how great smoking tobacco is good for your lungs, right? Yeah, no, it's the opposite. COPD, right? Emphysema, osteosclerosis, all these things. Cigarette tobacco, smoking that, by the way, is the number one most modifiable risk factor something you can stop, in other words, or not start. So this modifiable risk factor, smoking cigarettes, responsible for more premature decline in disease and so on. So these businesses that are profiting, making a lot of money selling alcohol and cigarettes, and there's other things, other businesses, by the way, that use the peripheral route. So I'm just using cigarettes and alcohol, for example. So they know they cannot sell it to you based on the central route, because the central route is when you if you're going to be persuaded, you only allow yourself to be persuaded to make a decision based on taking in the information, the facts, the data, all of the information, right? All of it. And then does the benefit outweigh any said risk, right? Is the value really there? What am I placing value on, right? It's a whole other question. Health or looking cool, for example. So this happens. Now, you'll see other products that maybe not necessarily are nefarious or anything bad about them, but marketing understands if they use a peripheral route to make something appear cool, they can sell it to you, right? Like maybe a pair of Nike shoes, maybe I remember the Intel computer processors back in the 90s. They had all these flashy commercials with them. They were just taking peripheral out. They weren't talking too much about the product, right? So people see that, they associate a feeling, it looks cool, I'm going to buy that. You get the idea. So the central route is when we allow ourselves to be persuaded based on facts, like a political candidate. Central route would be, I just look at the platform they're running on. What is the evidence for what they say they are? Their maybe voting history, right? What is their businesses look like in the past? What's the evidence say? What is the platform? I'm just going on information, right? So the balance is this, because this is where I'm going up in the video too, is that really we have the emotional reasoning component of our mind. So there's the emotional mind. And the other end of this spectrum, you're going to have the reasonable mind. Okay, that's being a reasonable person, critical thinker, using your intelligence to analyze the facts, right? Benefit risk ratio, good versus bad, the pros and cons, and then essentially what it is you want from a situation or service or a product, right? Is a value there based on information and facts. So the truth is, are our feelings and emotions, is it black or white, or just our intelligence, one or the other? Well, there's a balance here. In the middle of all this is our wise mind. So you can say wise mind or wisdom. So being able to reason, because it is okay to consider our feelings and emotions. What are my feelings and emotions maybe trying to say to me, right? Because they are messages to ourselves. And when they're based on facts, the reasonable mind, all the information, and how am I feeling about that? Yeah, that can help me make a better decision. This is the wise mind, wisdom, if you will. So feelings can be useful when based on facts. Do I feel comfortable with something? I do not feel comfortable with something, right? Is the value there? So there is a balance here, the wise mind. So I want to kind of pivot in another direction here, right? Because now that I've kind of laid these concepts out there, are you persuaded through emotions, a peripheral route, right? Are you that easily manipulated? Or are you someone who's more of a critical thinker, right? You can consider feelings, but you're also going to evaluate things, right? Be a bit more deductive here. Look at the bigger picture, right? All of the context, all of what you know about a person, credibility, etc. So social media type influencers, fitness influencers, if you want to use that term, right? So the truth is, a lot of people want to grab attention. They want you to follow them. They want you to kind of support the brand they're promoting. So there's a lot of peripheral persuasion with this. And I'll give you some simple examples that are pretty common. Some of you probably already know this, right? Intuitively. So you might have someone who holds themselves out as a fitness influencer. Now, this individual may have some, reasonable, maybe some experience with strength training, lifting weights, for example, but nothing really formally trained. They perhaps don't have a lot of context that's pervasive across multiple contexts, working with multiple populations. Like, what about people of special populations, right? That maybe certain things might be contraindicated for, right? So anyway, in other words, how credible is a person? Training, education, knowledge, and then, yeah, of course, practical experience is important too. So looking at a person, right, their credibility, you get the idea, versus someone who's 21 years old. Yeah, they've been working out and they know some things about how to organize some split routines. They know some concepts about, yeah, lifting weights, like a lot of young men can. However, they get juiced to the hilt on roids, jacked up, have good genetics, and they're eating all kinds of crazy business with the food, right? And they're able to achieve a pretty impressive, extreme result as a function of genetics. Yes, hard training, discipline with the training, right? They got to do that too. But a lot of steroids, right? Androgenic, anabolic steroids, other anabolic agents. It's obvious you do not go from 185 pounds to 242 pounds in such a short period of time and be that lean with all that muscle. It doesn't happen naturally. So someone like this, there's a lot of stuff going on. So people that are young, that are more influenced by the peripheral route to persuasion, yeah, they'll latch onto somebody like that and follow it because it's really, they're connecting that, the sensationalism of it, the flashiness of it. Maybe the person has a cool personality. Wow, so I'm going to listen to this guy when he talks about how to do crunches for his abs, or when he talks about a concept. The way he delivers it seems really cool. I like this guy. So now he is my expert. And I'm also going to buy the supplements he promotes and sells, right? So this is very peripheral route to persuasion based. And you'll see a lot of young men, women that will latch onto people like this. So this is marketing. You appeal into emotion. If I attach with said product, follow that said person, then they feel good. So this has nothing necessarily to do with the central route, right? Okay, what is this person promoting? What do they teach? And what are they saying? Is that representative of my situation? So some individuals, like the example I'm using of a real person, there's others, to be fair, there's a lot of these individuals. I don't care if you follow exactly the workout they tell you to do or eat exactly what they say, unless you have the genetic potential they have, and if a lot of these individuals on the drugs they're taking, you're not going to get close to what they look like. It's not going to happen. You're not going to get close or even close to what these individuals look like, right? Aesthetically, muscularity, strength, and so on. Now, to be clear, if regardless of what a person is on, like people who do medically supervised TRT, HRT, therapeutic amounts, and on the extreme ends, people that are abusing ridiculous amounts of drugs, anabolic agents, you still have to train. There is that. You still have to eat reasonable, commensurate with what your body's ability to tolerate, its metabolism, right, to break things down. And there's variability with that and so on. So you still have to put some certain things in place, regardless of whether you're on drugs or not, is the point. So there is that, to point that out in case someone's going to drop a comment and say, oh, you still got to put the work in. Yeah, of course you got to put the work in. The point is, people who follow fitness influencers who are all roided up with good genetics, they're never going to, they're not going to get close to achieving the results of that person, even when they're putting the work in. What's going to happen is they're going to become the best potential version of themselves. So there is that. So this central route versus the peripheral route, the central route to persuasion, right? What's the evidence, the facts? If somebody's trying to sell me a supplement, well, is there any research on it? A lot of these supplements, there is research. For example, niacin, a lot of research about niacin, how it can help promote a healthy lipid panel, for instance, and other supplements, to be fair. Creatine monohydrate, probably there's more research about that supplement than most of the others because it's been around a while. So evidence-based, right? A lot of benefits, right, for creatine monohydrate. So yeah, sure, I'm using the central route to persuasion. So if I buy creatine monohydrate, yeah, I probably want to get a brand from a company that is going to sell me a clean product for sure. But that's about it as far as, what I'm going to consider is going to have nothing to do with how built somebody is, how jacked up they are. I'm going to buy it from them because it's that big bro on TV, right? The big jacked up guy. No. Central route is, I can buy the same product. That's a good product, good price. That's what I care about. It doesn't matter to me if it's from some of these individuals who are dead now, by the way, because of unhealthy abuse of, well, lifestyle issues, abuse of other drugs in general, and then also steroids. So you get the idea. I could keep rambling and going on, if you want to call this a rant, about how people are influenced. So that's what I really want to encourage people. I'm 52 years old, been around a little bit longer than some of the others. And someone watching this video, you might be older than me, right? So you probably already kind of understand this. So I would encourage people to try to see beyond just the peripheral route, how flashy somebody looks, how cool they are. Maybe they're funny, they produce good content. So just consider what is the credibility, what is the source, right? Some people have more credibility than others, and some things have more information that's being presented to you than others. I can appreciate a combination of both, people using some peripheral route to be funny and to evoke some feelings of excitement, humor, and so on, but also we're including the central route. They're giving you good information, good facts, and so on. And there's some channels that do a good job like that Greg Douche guy, I believe he's from Canada. He's funny, he's entertaining, he screams and kind of talks real loud, pressured speech, right? So he also tries to do the due diligence to present and show some information, facts. He tries to be a bit more balanced. In other words, he's not just trying to be flashy. Hey, look at me, I'm cool, so buy something from me, or listen to what I tell you. So you get the idea. I could keep on speaking more about this peripheral route versus the central route. So I hope everybody's having a good week. My name's James Hunter. I like to make videos on my channel about different types of topics: mental health, physical fitness, wellness. Sometimes other topics in general I might want to discuss, because why not? So if you appreciate this way of speaking and talking about how we can be influenced, right, to make decisions, I'd appreciate it. Like the video, share if you like, and I really appreciate it if you want to subscribe to the channel too. So have a good day, and thank you.